Hey everybody, it's Bronco from Apex Vaulting. Today's video, I wanted to discuss a little bit about a post I just made about the takeoff, and I used the example of Lisa Riz, a German vaulter, and Jason Kolwick, the American vaulter who has no drive knee. And Lisa Riz has a drive knee, and in the video I talk about how, well, these jumps are more similar than you think. But before I delve into how those jumps are similar, I have to tell you about the allegory of the cave, because this will kind of explain why there's so many issues in the vault and why people are not understanding what's really going on with a jump. Because I posted that video, Jason Kolwick, no drive knee, Lisa Riz, drive knee, but I'm like, hey, way more alike than you think. A lot of similarities between these two takeoffs. For those of you who don't know, the Allegory of the Cave was written by Plato. And what he had discussed in the Allegory of the Cave is that there are these prisoners that are chained up in a cave and they're facing a wall, and all they can see are these shadows being cast on the wall. And for them, this is reality. This is life. And in the Allegory of the Cave, Plato discusses, well, what if one of these prisoners got loose, saw that the shadows being cast on the wall were from a fire behind them, and people were casting these shadows. But furthermore, you could walk out of the cave and actually see the whole world. Right? Like, the prisoners that are chained up, because all they can see are the shadows, that they think that's reality. Little do they know there is a fire behind them casting the shadows, and then even more, there's a whole world outside of the cave. And he says, if this prisoner that got loose came back in and he talks to the other prisoners, he's like, guys, this is not real. The shadows you're seeing, it's not real. There's actually a whole world out there. Plato says that those prisoners wouldn't care. They'd prefer the shadows. They don't want to actually see reality. They like the lies that are in front of them. And it's interesting, because when I look at the vault, just to use the drive knee as an example, I think a lot of people just see a drive knee and they're like, see, great takeoff. That person jumped up. But that's not always true. One, I've definitely seen athletes that don't have a very big drive knee and they actually jump up more than someone with a drive knee. And I've seen people, like I just said, with a drive knee that have almost zero jump up. They're just diving forward. So the shadow of this drive knee is not really telling us if a jump up is happening. There's more that goes into it than that. Look, in the video, I talk about a nice long short, going heel toe, jumping up, and I've talked in various videos about jumping up where you should be able to engage your calf, your quad, and glute, achieve triple extension of your ankle, knee, and hip. And you need to see the hips go up at takeoff instead of just forward. That tells you if somebody's jumping up. Now, if someone is doing that, most likely they will have some drive knee, but it's not as simple as just seeing a drive knee. Just like the bottom arm. Everybody obsesses over a bottom arm. Is a straight bottom arm, that's it? Like, that means we had a good takeoff? What if the bottom hand never gets above the head? Is that okay? And look, I don't want to make this a technical video. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of that. But I think these things are more complex than just what they look like. And on top of it, and I've mentioned this before, I think it makes a big difference at what developmental stage the athlete's in. I don't think a beginner is going to look like a professional. I don't know how much of a drive knee or a straight bottom arm you're going to see out of someone who's just starting out. Or what if also, we're talking about physical capability, what if we're dealing with someone that's not that fast, not that strong? What should it look like then? And to go into this, reality, like shadows versus reality. Are we chasing shadows, what something looks like, or are we trying to get to reality? I saw a video with Dan Paff yesterday or 2 days ago, and Altus, his training group, they posted a video, and Dan Paff was discussing your foot contact, how sprinters contact the ground. And what he was basically discussing in the video is how, a lot of coaches who unfortunately cue athletes to run on their toes are actually taking away a lot of the ability of the runner. Because if you watch high-speed sprinters, the best, who are considered technically efficient by coaches like Dan Paff, who I think have a good eye. They're seeing reality. I don't think they're chasing shadows. Those elite sprinters are hitting at the ball of the foot, mid-foot, not toe. They hit at the ball of the foot, and as he says, their heel usually kisses the ground. So it's way more of a flat foot strike than up on the toe. And he talks about how because of that ball and the heel dips down, you get certain stretch from tendons and ligaments, and that allows full extension of the leg and contraction of muscles and translates in a lot more force production. Whereas if you run on your toe, you're not getting that. That stuff is not happening, okay? We're just talking about the foot strike of a sprinter, and you can see how complex it is. And yet, when I hear people talk about the vault, I hear about a drive knee, I hear about a bottom arm, I hear about an invert, maybe a pike. And that's it. We're done. That's the vault, guys. We just need drive knee, bottom arm, invert, pike. How do any of those things even happen? What do I need to do? Even something like the invert, I often think, and I ask people, I'm like, should everyone get fully inverted? You have to be physically capable to invert first. Do you have the upper back strength to do that? And funny aside, I saw someone post today strength building exercises for pole vaulters, for their upper back. And there was stuff like swing ups into inverts on a high bar. And I'm just like, that is not, I'm so sorry, but that's not a strength builder. That is a display of strength. And those are good things that pole vaulters should do, swing up on inverts. But that's not gonna build my strength. And if I can't do even a pull up, I'm in trouble. I can't do a swing up on a high bar. So there's all this confusion in the vault because, again, people are chasing shadows. So we try to ask the kid who's not physically capable to invert. Now we're forcing them into bad positions that they can't come out of, and we're not developing a smooth and effective jump. Just like the person telling athletes to run on their toes is actually destroying their stride, destroying their force production. Do I want athletes to go heel toe? No, I don't want them to heel strike. But I have to explain it more nuanced. And I'll leave you with this final thought. I think this is where, as coaches, we don't always realize that we're not communicating effectively. We're not explaining what we want our athletes to do. Just like in the run on your toes example, I get it. Coaches don't want athletes running heel toe. But you don't really want them up on their toe. So you're going to have a little discussion about striking on the ball of the foot, and it's okay if the heel kisses the ground. It's more complex. I just hope, listening to this, maybe watching some of my other content, please stop believing in the shadows. Try to find reality. Try to figure it out. And yeah, start to look for reality, guys. Don't worry about the shadows, and do what is going to help your athletes. Try to communicate effectively with them and explain how they do the things you need them to do, whether that is jumping up. And sure, there might be a drive knee involved, but it's more complex than just squeezing your knee. Have a good week, everybody.